Hello everybody, Human DNA. I started to do this video. I started to do this video when I was driving a scooter, but my phone actually charged out I think because of the weather. It was so cold, so my mobile phone freezed. So we are starting it all over again with human DNA, and this information was channeled. And how was this information received? It was basically I was with my father, and I was like, okay, we can try to channel something. And I sit down, I relaxed, and the question was about, as I remember, something about moon. It was again, and from Earth history from a different perspective. Earth history from different perspective, and so all I did was just lay down, and then about these numbers a little bit later. All I can do right now is sit back and enjoy. So the information was pretty long just before it started literally talking about DNA, but I have a long road ahead of me, so I can talk no problem. So there was a question about like, are we made from kind of a reptilians genetics? And as far as I understood, that the answer is yes, from also different channelings, previous channelings that we have done, partly, or some part. But the questioner, the father, was asking an expanded question where the being started to answer that long time ago, the history, they said the history is pretty large. I would say, they would say nobody can actually describe all that information about the history, and I think no one could. The overall Earth's history, like trillions and millions of years ago. Well, not that much, but I'm just, And there was a time when, after the Atlantis, or the superhumans, or there was this superhumans and the Phaeton planet, and the information was that there was, after they created this planet or inhabited this planet, the superhumans left to their own planet, which was the Phaeton, and then here on planet Earth they were living human beings, like animal, like a 50-50 animal human, like a human horse, like a human with a fur, like cat tails, cat eye, cat ears, and etc. and etc. And they were like territorial, humbly living there, cutting their territory where everybody was living, and they were also, I would say, pretty nasty. They were strict and nasty, I would say, like this. What I felt from the energy, they were like humans with animal features, you would say, and visual features, not only instinctual but visual as such. And there was no moon at that time. And there was a different race that wanted to inhabit here, wanted to use the planet for their resources, and they could. And there were some also human-like beings living, like us, living as well. There was like multi-race planet. This was similar multi-race planet, with the similarities we have right now: animals and creatures and birds and everything. Hello from Morocco or Monaco? Monaco. Hello. So these aliens couldn't inhabit there because the local citizens, the local inhabitants, were pushing them and bullying them away. So the aliens decided, okay, let's take one human DNA and just use it as a remotely controlled robot, primitive, and then they will, so to speak, create their own territory, and then expand, and then more or less proceed the territory that the aliens needed, and inhabit the alien and work for the aliens, to, let's say, to mine something, or to to do something here on this planet. I don't really think that that was gold, but I was seeing like the pyramids and gold also. Like inside the pyramid there's a shiny like a gold, something like a gold. I didn't understand. And these aliens needed that resource. So their objective was to just create these humans and play nicely, and then take their territory. Because if so many humans are on the planet, the locals think that they are locals and give them some kind of a territory, and they go ahead to take this territory. And what happened afterwards, they started to war. These humans remotely controlled alien robots started the war. They started to push the territory. They started to take more territory because they needed it. And there was a war between the local animal type of humans, that local earthlings. There was a war between them. And what happened afterwards is that there was even a greater war. Other alien races started coming here as well, and there was even a greater war. And what I understood from the information, there were cities destroyed. There were cities that went underwater. There were cities that went under earth because of the huge changes on the planet. There was like tremendous amounts, like nuclear wars, you would say. And just because of that, the Grey Federation, there's some kind of a different race called the Grey Federation. I've noticed it in several channelings. And they came here because they wanted to protect the interests of the planet Earth. Like the information was that we humans here on planet, we can kill and teach and destroy each other as we wish. We can do what we want, as long as it doesn't harm the planet Earth. So the planet Earth is more important than the humans living on it. So what happened then was the Grey Federation came with the moon orbital station, with the moon that we see right now at night. And they cleaned up this area. They sent everybody home. And it was like, they said that thousands and thousands and thousands years later, when everybody went home, they renewed this. They didn't do actually anything to the planet itself, but they waited until it, let's say, restarts itself. Like the trees start growing again, like the DNA that is left over rebuilds itself, like rebuilds the trees start growing, some maybe butterflies, some maybe snakes, some maybe flies, some bees, maybe some kangaroos maybe have leftover, and give them time to restart. Give them a time to restart, like thousands, maybe years, to give this Earth climate a restart, and no humans living there, or any other race, conscious race, I would say, any other AI type of being, like human, for example. And so, what happened afterwards? Afterwards, when the Earth was restarted, got better, you would say also. They took DNA and they were thinking, and the information was that it's really difficult to create a new genetical species. For example, we want to inhabit, let's say, Moon itself, the planet Moon, the orbital station Moon. We want to inhabit it, and to send humans there would be a really difficult job, because no human can live without any oxygen. There is nothing for a human to eat there. The gravity is different, therefore the muscles and the bones can maybe get atrophied. Maybe there is no water. Maybe the moon itself has a different vibration, and for us energetically it's completely difficult. Maybe the cosmical radiance is much higher there, because the moon doesn't have any atmosphere. So maybe the humans themselves need, let's say, some kind of a magnetical radiation shields, I don't know. So in simple words, it could be, and it definitely is very difficult to inhabit a different planet. So what the moon alien decided, they will take the genetics from the Earth that is already inhabited there, because that genetics has a strong memory how one can survive genetically on such a beautiful and such a different and maybe such a hostile and maybe such a dangerous planet. Like, you know, imagine winds, waters, tsunamis, temperature changes, sometimes burning, you know, something can burn, bacteria and everything around it. So, and then they decided to take a part of genetical structure that is already here on the planet at present. So they took these alien created human robots genetics and readjust them so that they can be programmable, like us humans, we are programmable, programmable, and give them a start. Let's see what happened. And also I've channeled information about how it all started, but it was not about the Earth history, it's about the origin of human genetics. And the answer was that yes, humans are partially reptilian DNA, and you notice this when your spine is like in S-shaped, your hands go like this sometimes. So there are some DNA from reptilian type of creatures, and hello. Yeah, okay. So about the DNA, the information started coming that actually we humans and our DNA, the spiral I was seeing, like the spiral from many angles, consists information of all our civilization. That means that our DNA has already our ancestors, our parents to the beginning of the time. The DNA already has this information inside. So, and what happens is, for example, when we have children, it's the next generation, and the children are already in the DNA updated. And how I saw this, they said that a new layer has been created, a new layer has been formed in the DNA when, for example, we here, like me and you, our genetical body figures out something that helped us to survive. Like, for example, maybe in earlier ages, for us to survive, we would need to learn how to build, or how to, you know, plant trees, maybe plant potatoes, and etc. etc. And when we have done this through difficult periods, our DNA gets updated. For example, we come to a conclusion that, man, I really am thankful because I survived only by working a lot, by planting, by caring about my garden, let's say. And your consciousness orders the body consciousness, that tells the body consciousness that this is how we survived, and thus then it's a quality update. So the DNA and the body it understands, okay, this is how it's easier to survive, and it creates a new DNA layer or a filter on top of it. So there's a spiral with many shreds of lines. And how I saw this DNA, it has perfectly aligned some kind of small balls, like a small spheres, you would say, but they are in relationship with each other. They are perfectly aligned to each other, and thus when an energy starts flowing through, it creates some kind of an expansion and a growth with it. So what they said also is that if you take this DNA, part of DNA, into a harmonious incubation, which could be the egg where the baby is grown, or maybe artificial way when there's only a pure DNA inside. I saw like a liquid type of water type of something like an egg as well, And when the DNA is being injected into it, the form around it, through combination of energy, starts taking its form, starts reshaping and taking its form. And what happens afterwards is that this perfectly aligned DNA spheres, when energy starts flowing through it, creates a vibration. And the vibration also, how I say it, creates like fractal geometry. I've talked about this in previous videos. Well, kidneys, lungs, brain, neurons basically look the same like any branch or any tree, shredded and shredded and shredded. But it's not about that information. You can watch it, you can listen in other videos. So what happens then is the DNA rebuilds itself. So imagine you have a spiral full of your DNA. For example, thousands generations ago there were these aggressive type of beings that learned to survive by killing and eating animals. And then maybe 100 lifetimes ago, people discovered or maybe learned that they can actually grow their own food. So they understood that it's maybe more about not killing, it's maybe not hunting or taking from each other. It's more about giving to the earth, it's more about caring about the earth. Maybe 50 generations ago, people learned to survive by building, and then they discovered that actually music can help you to survive, like musicians, like talents. And then the overall survival instinct changes and changes and changes. So they said that, and the layer has been added and added and added and added. And they talked about the families, family genetics. They talked about this as well. So, what it means is, if we learn something in our life, we add to this DNA another layer, another filter. But if we take off those filters, destroy them and take them off, maybe it's done through professional laboratories, and maybe aliens know how to do it precisely, and you take this into this incubation egg, or how you call it in the womb, what it exists there, I don't know, in women's, right? So what happens then is a DNA maybe of your grandfather is being recreated. But the being said that it's actually no beneficial, because he would have the survival instincts that he had at that time. So it's no actually use. He will not even learn to work with computers. It will take him a long time to work with computers. To even think like us, it will take him a long time. It's actually no use at all for such an old genetic to be restored. But you can restore it if you need it. And they were talking also, giving information that throughout the body, the DNA structure is being, like, let's say, recreated. There are some cells, empty cells in our body, which contain only the DNA spiral. The DNA spiral, it can take, it takes the DNA structure, clean DNA structure. Understood it's somewhere around the body in multiple places. And they said that cosmical radiance and the magnetic fields can destroy that genetical spiral, but human body, it restores it and can restore it, like create a backup. It creates a backup of that genetical information. So, and they said, well, basically also you can take a hair from you, and thus a civilization thousands and thousands of years ago can be recreated. And then they looked at myself, at my body. They said, well, from the genetical information we can tell that his genetical body comes from a driver and a plane pilot. I was like, well, a driver definitely, but I never flew in a plane. And then I remembered that my great-great-grandfather he built his own planes and was flying them around the world. And I was like, oh, okay. And he said, what I understood, that my genetical family, I come from the male side. And then my father, the being, was looking at the father, but we don't see any of those qualities to you. We see different qualities. And they don't talk about my previous incarnations, they talk about the body genetical qualities. And they look at him and they said, well, I forgot, there was a loss in the mountains, like he was living alone in the mountains, or doing alone large distances, traveling a lot. And also there was something with that when the genetical body was kidnapped, like several genetical generations before, he was kidnapped and then left with a sadness. The body was left. But in simple words, the benefit of having this is that my body right now can feel easily with driving and doesn't worry about anything. And since the beginning of birth, I was like, well, I know how cars work. I've never seen the engine, but I know how it works. I love to fly planes. I was like, yeah, flying on computer programs was like, it's pretty easy actually. And so there are some qualities that come with this body from the previous genetical DNA layers that my father's side have learned, and thus eventually updated till I got here, this genetical body. And when I understood, my father came from he came from female DNA background, like from the mothers and his mothers and his mothers, and they had he has different qualities, like he doesn't feel alone. He feels really comfortable being alone, etc. It gives you some qualities. It gives you some comfortable qualities that you are pretty okay with, or maybe you have more greater talents in it. So, and then I started talking about that. My father asked about, yeah, but these aggressive families, and they tell that yes, there are like these cleaner, aggressive type of genetical material families, like let's say some kind of a poverty or power family, like like maybe the elite that controls this planet and etc. That it's a special genetic that has maybe been developed from the beginning of time, when a person learned that he can survive only from others. He can survive only from maybe taking from the others, or maybe slaving others. That this way they can survive. This is the only way that genetics have discovered to survive. And they said that slowly that will change, because all genetical materials, all genetical information updates related to how it's more easier to live, how it's more easier or satisfactional for us to live. And they said sooner or later everybody will understand that living by the laws of the planet Earth, which is caring and giving to each other, caring and sharing, you would say, will be the most, like looking after nature, will be the most beneficial and harmonious way. What it means is that what I understood from the information is, for example, you may want to take from others, you may want to earn more and more and more, but as soon as you spend a little time in the nature, as soon as you spend little time maybe at the countryside, you will feel, man, this is so beneficial for me, man, this is so nice for me, I would want to live here, I want to be here. And your DNA, if you accept this, your DNA creates a filter that your next generation, maybe your children, will live by your given, by your update, that you have updated yourself. So the rules here are being dictated from planet Earth. Sooner or later we all will return that we all learned, our machine learning learned that it's most beneficial to live by the rules that we have right now. So what I wanted to talk about, so they were sharing another information, is that the genetical types. So The first genetical type is pure instincts. It's like birds, it's like maybe some smaller creatures that actually don't have this AI. They adapt to changes really, really slowly. That means that when they were created, they have been given simple DNA that helps them to survive. Meaning they don't adapt to changes that much. Means that, for example, there are species that don't live anymore because they don't adapt to changes that much. There are species that still live, like maybe forest creatures that still live. Their DNA, genetical quality still is working. Like, like you can survive by hunting, or you can survive by living in the forest, or there are like qualities. If somebody attacks you, you run away, or somebody is next to you, you want to attack him. So there are some genetical, instinctual qualities that don't change, or don't change that much. And these genetical qualities can still survive if the surrounding environment doesn't change dramatically. They can then survive. So this is the, like, let's say, forest animals like foxes and etc. But I said that they are also half, or let's say a different type of DNA structure. They didn't tell the name, but I don't know how to call them, but I would say pets. For example, a dog or a pet bird or a horse has a built-in DNA quality that for him the only way to survive. I saw the impact. If the dog or a horse, for example, sees you, and instinctively he just understands that you, a human, is an adaptive DNA mechanism. Adaptive means that adapts to changes or can create changes. Means that you are much smarter in terms of living and changing or surviving in different environments. So the pet DNA, or horse, whatever, sees you as a king, sees you as a master, and it gives up his own instinct or survival instincts to learn from you, to be dependent on you, because you know the way. Because human knows the way, and I'll talk about humans a little bit after. And thus then, there are like genetical materials, like genetical animals like this, who follow a smarter one, who follow the smartest one, who can be a smartest one. But these animals also have their own genetical instinctual qualities. But the thing is, the difference they told. The thing is, weakness with these type of genetical qualities is that, for example, if you take a wild horse for 3 generations, you feed him, you teach him, you ride him, and then you let go in the wild, like go back. He doesn't know how to survive. After 3 generations, the genetical material doesn't know how to survive. It's very difficult for him to survive. So the primitive DNA bodies, the animals as such, understood they don't have the capability to change their own DNA, to change their own or adjust their own DNA that impactfully through survival instincts as we humans can. So, and they told about human. But if you take a human outside of his home and throw it in the forest, human DNA will start recalculating, and he will easily find ways how to survive. And not only will he find ways how to survive, but he will also update his DNA so the next generation already knows these rules that the human has set up, that the human has created, the previous person has created. Because then they told that to look at human DNA or genetics, we're talking only about the body. We're not talking about soul, or we're not talking about spirit. We're not talking about your beingness. We're talking only about, I'm sharing information only about the body, about the DNA. For example, in easier words, if you learn that you can survive by music, then your next genetical quality have a higher and a higher chance of having a more expanded listening or a brain more adjusted to be musical brain. And they told also that, for example, for example, if two different genetical families meet, like let's say mechanical man with an artist lady meet, they told that from different countries, they have a chance that they will have several kids. Because if two completely separate genetics meet, completely opposite, completely different, they have a greater chance of having more children. Because if similar families meet, like let's say Latvians with Latvians or Europeans with Europeans, it doesn't matter, they will not have so much children. There was an idea because they said most likely they will have more children because to recreate one part from both sides, like create this mechanical man from both sides, from his father's and mother's side, and recreate this artist from also both sides. So then you need to have more children. You need to have more children to recreate and continue this DNA. So the DNA, the genetical quality, can mix together and survive further with each of the ancestors that they have learned. I think it's by now it's understood what I meant by these ideas. I don't think I need to expand a little bit, but if you need, just ask questions. So returning to the humans, they said that adaptive adjusting DNA only is not to many animals. There are only humans and lions, and I understood also elephants. And by example, I mean that they can adapt to situation. They can adapt, their DNA can be adapted to the situation. What it means that if you take a lion, for example, in the city life, the lion will come into the city life, and maybe after a couple of generations will already find a way how they can survive here. And that's the same with elephants, that they also, in a way, they could adapt and start surviving. For example, maybe lions will start to pretend they are humans and start, doing something the humans need. The humans will start giving them food and etc. There will be a way that they will adapt. The same with elephants, I understood. So they are like animals also whose intellect or genetical intellect is close to human genetical intellect, that they can learn their own ways of survive, adapt to their own ways of surviving if something dramatically changes. So returning back to filters, DNA filters, and DNA adding DNA layers, there was an information that also in the full moon, the moon orbital station as such can also artificially add or change our DNA structure. For example, they said in the first 3 days, when the baby is in the mother's stomach, not in the stomach, in the womb, right? Unless she eats children, I don't know. In the stomach, in the sake of simpler to speak. They said that because of the full moon energy, the DNA can be adjusted, and an artificial intelligence layer to the DNA structure in the womb can be changed. So what it means that they told to me that I have this adjusted DNA, and every new child, nearly most of them, or nearly all of them, have this newly adjusted DNA. And they said that it's the new society. A new society DNA is being added and created. What it means is that they said, well, in simple words, it means that these people or these children don't identify them to the planet Earth civilization as used to be. They don't actually give a damn about the history. They don't actually care about it. They don't actually care about the established system here we have. They don't actually pretty much care about it. They don't actually are pretty much interested in. They are like more open-minded, more maybe intuitive, maybe more don't caring about that much about the old things that are right here. So thus then giving a more harmonious and a more pleasurable changes in the future if everybody starts living like this. So these are the new children DNA structures that they were sharing information about. So what else was there? There was a lot of information, but I don't memorize it all. Okay, somebody was asking about the numbers. I will read it right now. So number 1313 on 9/11/1911. So 1313 is a way of thinking, solving problems, thinking about problems, and they can be related with technical thinking. They can be related to like a technical solving, like solving a problem or a situation. Solving a situation that requires a technical thinking. And 9/11 and 1911 means there's the number 9. So asking these numbers from your side, I think it's also related to something about money, something about maybe business, or something about money solutions that requires technical thinking. So what these numbers tell me that you cannot choose something related with money or something related with a job or something related with the situation. I don't know what exactly, but you have two options that you can choose, either one or either the other, but you're not sure yet. And these numbers don't actually tell you anything in front. They don't actually tell you anything in front. It just, to me, it maybe represents your situation. Nothing. So there's a situation for you that you need to solve. But the 9/11 and the 1911 tells me that these are not too much of a worry. It's not too much of a worry. It's not like just relax and calm. Be relaxed and calm. It's nothing that big. So what I can tell you is that we are spending too much time on thinking and finding solutions. Relax. That's all I can tell. Relax. What else was about the DNA and genetics? There was something about the full moon, that in the full moon resonates from the cosmic resonance. It resonates because of the Earth energy, refloats back to it and creates a separate moon resonance. So a moon does affect with its own vibration, and tree killers. And there was also that when is moon being shined upon with light, and the light comes to Earth, the particle itself, the proton itself, has the moon vibration already within it. So when it comes to the humans or to us, it affects us. This vibration, we sense the vibration, and whether the moon has a stronger vibration, a lower vibration, it comes to Earth in full moon much more intensely. And there was also something related to water affected by moon. There was something that also, if a full moon hovers over trees, the trees also bend a little to the side. Not only water, but trees themselves as well. So moon is actually really powerful for humans. Really powerful, for a really strong thing affects us like this. I didn't feel that it's whether positive or negative. It was just that it affects us. So okay, I think I shared about this topic. It took us around 40 minutes to share this information. and see you guys soon on different videos. See you guys and ask questions on comments, and when you will ask questions, then I will know another video to make. If you're interested, please do that. And see you guys soon on a different video. Bye. Ciao. Ciao bambino.